Every corporation in the world often makes promises that it cannot keep, and promises to do things but then doesn't do them, sometimes for the better, sometimes for the worse. That much, of course, is true for the video games industry as well, and as one of the biggest companies in the industry, Microsoft have often walked back on several of their promises, one way or another. So here, we'll be looking at 9 such instances. The Crackdown 3 hype. Crackdown 3 was in development for a long time. It was delayed multiple times, it changed developers, and just had a messy development all around. But throughout it all, Microsoft continued to promise the world to Crackdown fans. For starters, they would not stop talking about the power of the cloud and the cloud-powered destruction in the game, which in the final product was only in the multiplayer and was quite underwhelming at that. The game itself was also sourly disappointing, and somehow managed to even be a step back from its predecessors. Before its launch, Microsoft talked about how they wanted Crackdown to sit alongside the likes of Halo and Gears as one of their premier franchises, but clearly they did not put their money where their mouth was. Scalebound. Oh man, this one still hurts. Scalebound always sounded like a dream project, especially at a time when the Xbox One was sorely lacking exclusives. A Platinum Games developed action title directed by Hideki Kamiya where you fly on the backs of dragons. It was a game that millions of Xbox owners were very hyped about. Its cancellation was a massive gut punch, in the fact that even now, after its death, there are many who speculate that it will make a return should tell you something about how much people wanted to play that game. Fable Legends. Scalebound isn't the only major upcoming Xbox exclusive Microsoft have canceled in recent years. Fable was once one of their flagship franchises, and might be again soon if rumors are to be believed. So Fable Legends was obviously an important game for them and for Xbox owners. Its co-op approach to the typical Fable formula sounded like an interesting evolution. 4 years after its announcement though, Microsoft announced that Fable Legends had been canceled and that Lionhead Studios had been shut down, while it was in the middle of an open beta. It was a heartbreaking cancellation, especially because it was actually much closer to release than something like, say, Scalebound was. Xbox One used games. Microsoft bungled a ton of stuff with the Xbox One in its early years, and that started with its reveal itself. And one of the many things they revealed that caught a lot of flack from fans was the fact that the Xbox One would be unable to run used games, which was just a huge bummer to say the very least. Sony's infamous used games tutorial for the PS4 proved to be the fatal blow not long afterward. Thankfully, Microsoft did a quick 180 on that, making this one of those instances where we were all glad that a company broke its promise. Always online Xbox One. Oh, and speaking of times we were glad that Microsoft broke one of their promises, another very controversial detail they revealed about the Xbox One when the console was unveiled was that it needed to stay connected to the internet, and if it didn't, it basically didn't work. While always online requirements are much more acceptable these days, though still far from the norm, back then this caused a huge uproar, and this too was something Microsoft chose to walk back on. Xbox One and Kinect integration. Let's stick with the Xbox One's botched reveal a little while longer. As if all the other mistakes Microsoft made at the time weren't enough, they also decided to make the Kinect a vital part of the whole console experience. The fact that they were at least trying something different was something that could be appreciated, but it was ultimately not what people wanted, and seemed like an extremely unnecessary innovation. Microsoft eventually phased the Kinect out completely, and it was not even close to being as integrated with the Xbox One as they had initially said it would be, and once again, we were all glad that they did not live up to their word. The Project Natal reveal. Speaking of the Kinect, when Nintendo were making waves in the market with their motion controls, both Sony and Microsoft decided that they wanted a piece of that pie. While Sony went with more of a copy-paste approach, Microsoft decided to try something more ambitious. When they revealed the Kinect, called Project Natal at the time, it looked really interesting. Project Milo in particular showed off its potential really well. But as it turned out, that stage demo was not at all representative of what the Kinect would turn out to be and what kind of experiences it would offer. That's not to say that the Kinect didn't deliver anything good. There was some interesting stuff, for sure, but it was nowhere near the level that the Project Natal stage demo and reveal promised. Xbox One X and VR. As far as the console industry is concerned, Sony are the only ones who are investing in virtual reality at all. Nintendo are doing stuff with cardboard while Microsoft have remained on the sidelines, which is sort of surprising. It is especially surprising because when they first unveiled the Xbox One X at E3 in full, Xbox boss Phil Spencer said that its hardware was built in order to deliver, among other things, high-fidelity virtual reality experiences. Since then, Microsoft and Spencer have both been very vocal about not wanting to support VR yet, but it's disappointing that they've changed their minds on this. Let's hope they do it once again in the near future. Velocity Girl. Back at E3 2005, Microsoft introduced Velocity Girl, essentially the face of their push for making the Xbox marketplace more interactive. They promised it would be a space where users, even those who don't play games, could be creative, make stuff of their own like stickers and cosmetics, and put them up for sale for others to purchase. It sounded like an interesting idea, but 15 years later, that still hasn't happened. And that about does it for this video. If you enjoyed what you watched and want to see more from Gaming Bolt, you can always hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell icon next to it. That way you will never miss any of our videos.